welcome back to the TorCraft Cup online stage 4. We've got our winner semis, as we've already reached them. A bit of a low turnout today, but, you know, it is May, there's a lot of things going on, people are busy, but we do have some of our regular players from the TorCraft series of SteAdfaSt versus Believe, a PvZ to start things off here.
A PvZ to continue things. I mean, we already had our most popular matchup, the TvZ, so you might as well start mixing in the Protoss because, like you said, there's really only the one Protoss representative. We need to give him some love. We need to give him some of that stream, you know, showcasing action.
Yeah, but, you know, here in Toronto, a lot of people don't really like Believe, so we just give him stream time only because he makes it. No, I'm kidding. Believe's a great guy. If you've ever met him in person, you'd know that he has some quirks, but definitely interesting folks to be around.
Yeah, I've never actually met very many of the StarCraft folks in real life, but you know, I've heard some things. At any rate, like you mentioned, we've got another, well, a PvZ coming up, but we've got another one of the guys who's expected to continue versus one of the guys who's probably not going to make it to the top 2.
Well, you know, SteAdfaSt, he is one of the higher placing players here in the Toronto scene. I wouldn't be surprised if SteAdfaSt made it to top 3, which is also still getting a payout.
Very true. I mean, there are options other than just the top 2, and of course, there's always the possibility of an upset. It could very well happen if he is on top of his game.
Yeah, but to start things off, we're going to be spawning on top of our green Protoss player. He is our first seed today, representing Team Extreme Supremacy. It is Believe.
And in the northern spawn position, representing Jinner or something, this is our blue Zerg SteAdfaSt.
That actually stands for gear in the rear, just by the way.
Which is kind of odd that he's, you know, playing Zerg. But
well, if you look at the decal, you've got actually no Terran logo over there. You've got a gear, a Zerg logo, and a Protoss logo.
That's fair enough. I mean, that's similar to, I guess, like Psystorm Gaming when they sign, you know, players like who are Terran or Zerg who don't like Psystorm. So,
yeah. Well, I guess at least Zergs, they can Neural Parasite Templars and then Storm Protosses.
That's true. I mean, at least, yeah, you've got that going for you, but still. What's in a team name? I don't actually know.
Yeah. It's better than anime fighter names that just are completely ridiculous. And also, let's see, what? There was another genre that had ridiculous names. I'm gonna say racing games. I think, yeah, I think that was the genre I'm thinking of that has just completely ridiculous names.
You could be very correct. The other thing that could be very correct is the Nexus first, Hatchery first openings coming out from these guys.
Yeah, Vonnie Research Station, you've got those in-base expansions. Believe also is the kind of player that never scouts. It's just a thing that he does. He will play completely blind. So, SteAdfaSt, probably knowing that, might actually go up for 3 hatcheries, and Believe actually gonna send a probe scout for once. That's interesting.
Hopefully he realizes his mistake halfway through and then turns that probe around and sends it back home, but we shall see. There's going to be that third hatch that you were referencing, or rather the, I guess, second hatchery that's being constructed before the pool, and it may actually be, wow, he is actually going triple hatch gas before his pool.
Yeah. But again, Believe is not the kind of guy to just play like how he is currently, actually. I think SteAdfaSt was really banking on the fact that he would play blind. And then SteAdfaSt, you know, being Zerg, you can throw your overlords across the map. But for now, he will be able to at least have one in the main. You'll see, oh, you've got a cybernetics cart, you've got 2 gases on the way. And Believe, I wonder if he's going to go for his usual Stargate play that he tends to go for, especially on a map like Vonnie Research Station. You've got this giant airway down the east side of the map. An Oracle or 2 could really devastate your opponent.
true. The other thing that I would like to see out of Believe, if he would have actually confirmed the third hatch is over at the normal third hatch location, it's not like at the gold or something ridiculous like that. Just in these situations, you can almost never be too safe, and it doesn't take that much longer to send the probe over just to get vision of that third hatch and confirm that, yes, it is indeed in the correct, quote-unquote, normal location. Now, you did mention something about an Oracle, but of course, for an Oracle, you need a Stargate, and that is presently on the way, and it's not actually in vision of SteAdfaSt. He's just past it.
Yeah, but, you know, I'm gonna give SteAdfaSt a bit of benefit of the doubt here. Believe he's gone Stargate quite a bit up here, especially versus our other Zerg players in Toronto, so we wouldn't be surprised if he could connect the dots and figure out that he should probably get some spore crawlers or some kind of anti-air. And yeah, well, actually, what happened there? He was about to throw it in a spore crawler and then it went away. And ran out of money.
I guess he decided that he wants a couple of more drones out first. It is actually going to be immediately into the Phoenix. Spore crawlers still are nice once you start building up that Phoenix count, and the first spore crawler is going down. Going to be one in the natural, one in the main, and probably one at the third in relatively short fashion. Zergling speed is also on the way, and I mean, there were a couple of Zerglings constructed initially for that scout, but he's really committing more into the drones, the queens, and getting his production and his macro rolling, more so than, of course, you know, trying to go something hyper-aggressive after the fast 3 hatch.
Yeah. And right now we've got our first two Phoenix out. They have been revealed. Going to be cleaning up the Overlords down on the south side of the map. And this is actually going to be able to buy SteAdfaSt just a bit more time if he needs it for more anti-air. Right now we've got 2 more queens on the way. Already have 3, so going to be going up to 5. Got more spore crawlers going to be thrown down. So SteAdfaSt should be okay so long as he keeps his micro all right. But, you know, the Overlord spread for him is very good. But this is bad because Phoenixes love good Overlord spread since that they can just single them out.
Very true. We also do have, well, the Phoenix is just going to be going in for the scout. They do find a weakness, a bit of an opening, going to be picking off a couple of drones. You do have to pick off quite a few drones, depending on how many Phoenix you decide to commit to. Of course, Phoenix do maintain their utility as we move towards kind of that mid-game stage of the game, and we potentially will be seeing Mutalisks. If we end up seeing that, of course, Phoenix is going to be very good for that.
Yeah, and definitely getting a good start on that anti-air in the air is going to be helpful for Believe. Having a few Phoenix just out and about. We'll actually be able to catch a couple of drones while they're transferring over. Gonna run right over the spore crawlers, but so far, not too much damage. Most of it just to the shields. And in the meanwhile, SteAdfaSt is going to be getting his lair. Going to be getting 1-1 for melee. So probably going to be going Zergling Mutalisk. And on the flip side, we've got a Robotics Bay on the way, as well as Blink and +1 weapons for Believe.
Yeah, mixing it up, going to be going for a bit of the Phoenix Colossi. And he has cut Phoenix production 4 now, so he's not going to be committing too hard into that. But Blinkstalker, Colossi, and a third base, all very good tools to have in that Protoss arsenal of trying to deal with this potential upcoming Zerg. Of course, always staying active with the Phoenix, trying to get an eye on his opponent, trying to scout and see exactly what is going on is never a bad thing. He's actually going to be heading right in, may actually end up spotting the macro hatch as well.
Yeah, and right now, it looks like those Phoenix, they're going to get chased away. Again, just a whole lot of queens out here for SteAdfaSt at the moment. And speaking of SteAdfaSt, he's got a lot of Zerglings heading over towards that third. There is only a single cannon up. The sentries very out of position. There is a Zealot, though, at the front of the wall, and we're going to have to see how much will SteAdfaSt be able to do. The force field going down, but actually left a bit of a hole there, so his probes can pass through.
Yep. Believe able to really sustain minimal damage there. I don't think he actually lost too many of those probes, and this is more and more Zerglings just streaming out across the map. SteAdfaSt is looking to do something. The Nexus has already been established, and Believe is actually starting to form more of a wall-off to really cut down the areas of effect that these Zerglings have, not really allowing them to get full surrounds and wraparounds easily.
Yeah, and right now, he's also got a rather high sentry count as well, so forest fields very much available for our Protoss player. And in the meanwhile, it looks like these Phoenix, they're just trying to fish for something to do, it seems. And it looks like they'll be able to find a couple of Overlords. But yeah, as you said, SteAdfaSt, he's just got a lot of Zerglings streaming down the map. And I'm a little curious. You know, we haven't seen too much else other than the Zerglings right now. And it looks like, yeah, Pathogen Gland's going to be entering the production tab. So, Infester's going to be on the way.
Every time a Zerg goes for an infestation pit, I don't actually know enough about Zerg to know what exactly they're going to be heading to. It's like, are you going Hive for something on that tech? Are you going for Infestors, something in there? And of course, back in the day, back pre-patch, we would of course ask, are you going for those Swarm hosts? But in this case, it is going to be the Infestors. More and more Lings on the way, so he is flooding just a crazy number of Lings. But more importantly than that, or maybe equally importantly, is the upgrades. He's staying ahead on kind of matched upgrades of his opponent. So, +2 weapons going to be done relatively soon for Protoss, but those armor upgrades are lacking.
Yeah, I believe he's only going with the single forge, but on the flip side, you know, he's going to be getting Thermal Lance, he's getting his Templar Archives, he also got a Warp Prism here, so that's going to be interesting. It's actually heading down east while his main army is heading out to the west. But the Zerglings, they're going to be coming in. The Zealot actually leaving a bit of space. They're going to get surrounded at the front. The third is going to get ravaged by a lot of these Zerglings, and now the wall at the main is destroyed.
First couple of Colossus going to be stepping into the fight, and of course the recall going to be activated to save this base, really forcing that army back across the map, buying so much more time for SteAdfaSt. A fair number of probes also going to be going down, as there's a total of 16 that have been eliminated in total throughout this game. And the hold is happening for Believe. He does manage to push that army away rather easily, but that stopped his assault, that stopped his push forward, and completely grounded his army.
Yeah, but, you know, right now it looks like Believe he's going to be trying to go for it yet again. We've actually got the War Prism gets found, fungled, and Infested Terrans immediately thrown out. That War Prism is most definitely going to die with 4 Zealots loaded in it as well. Neural Parasite is actually getting researched here. 3 more Infestors on the way, and a whole lot of Queens still coming out from SteAdfaSt with 40 more Zerglings. I'm really not sure the composition choice, but it seems to be working as he's getting yet another counterattack.
Once again, forcing the recall over to that third Nexus. A lot of Lings will be sacrificed. A lot of Lings will end up dying. And they're not killing a huge amount of probes, but now that they're in the natural, they may be able to pick up an additional couple of probe kills. I think they've only killed 6 in this actual attack, and that's actually trading out a lot of supply worth of Lings for just those extra few kills. That was like 50 supply worth of, well, not 50 supply, but 50 Lings overall that just went down.
Yeah, but you know what? It kept SteAdfaSt in this game. That very scary Protoss army went right up into the base. It did get rid of the 4th base, but SteAdfaSt, he's going to be expanding 2 more times again. And for now, it seems like he's going to be okay. And Infestor actually going to get picked up, 2 of them getting picked up by the Phoenix. Needs to throw down a fungal or something soon. We'll actually catch the Observer, too. That's pretty big.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the Infested Terran's going to be popping, eliminating pretty much all of the Phoenix. One of them will manage to escape for now. We'll be heading potentially over by that gold base. He hasn't actually scouted that the gold base is being taken as well. Huge amounts of Lings, but to supplement those Lings, the +3/+3 upgrades, as well as the Crackling upgrade going to be coming in also. Really going to be buffing up those Lings quite a bit for the late game. Ultralisk Caverners also on the way, though, and that's the next step of the plan for SteAdfaSt.
Yep, but for Believe, he's not going to be slowing down in his plan as well. He's got a Dark Shrine on the way as well as a second robotics facility. He's going to be getting Immortals now, no longer the Colossi. This is a smart choice. Getting those Archons as well is very good. And I like the Dark Shrine because it'll allow him to, if one set of resources is lacking, he'll switch what kind of Templar he's using to make those Archons, as they are a very crucial part of dealing with an Ultralisk-based composition. Zerglings, you need those AoE to get rid of them, and Colossi, they do well, but in low numbers, they just can't put in the amount of damage you need, whereas Archons, they're able to do it.
The other kind of option that we have for Believe is, of course, if he makes use of another Warp Prism, potentially for those counterattacks. You can always sink Zealots into those counterattacks, as you're, referencing. Sometimes you have to sink one particular type of resource, but mixing in Dark Templars to those counterattacks is something that we've seen happen with a lot of Protoss players over the years. This is potentially a huge concave. Now, taking the high ground position is quite nice for Believe. He's going to limit the options that the Zerg has to actually come at him. And, oh, if he does kill any of these infestors, it may actually, well, never mind. Fungal growths are good enough to kind of save these infestors for now.
One's very close, and that has very high energy. Close the entire army.
Almost gets it, doesn't quite manage to lock it down. However, again, another recall coming out for Believe. He just cannot find a good angle to engage. However, with maxed out army, SteAdfaSt is going to be looking to force an engagement sooner or later.
Yep, and oh, those Colossi, they're walking very close to those Zerglings. They're not looking to take a fight, though. They need those Infestors there for those fungal growths to keep everything in place for the Ultralisks. And these Infestors getting left ahead of the rest of the army is an interesting choice. But right now, believe me, he's throwing down 2 more Stargates, so he's going to be continuing in his tech switch. And double Spire coming out from SteAdfaSt.
It's the next piece of the puzzle. It's the next step for our Zerg player. He's going to be rocking those double upgrades. We do have a Warp Prism moving out across the map. Dark Templar are also being warped in at various points around the map, and if this Warp Prism can get into a nice position, it's one of those things that if you can pull the Zerg out of position hard enough, which is sometimes one of those things that the lower level players that aren't the absolute best in the world aren't very good at splitting their army appropriately, then, you know, these small counterattacks can open up big opportunities for Believe.
Yeah, and so far we've got 2 DTs over towards the 5th base. The main army does take out the approaching 6th. Warp Prism, though, still has not yet been able to warp anything in. This one Queen has been doing a good job at getting rid of most of it. Sport Color and the Queen should be able to take out the DT over at the 3rd. But at the 4th and the 5th, that's another story. The 5th has gone down to the 2 DTs, and right now there's no detection for this one Dark Templar at the 5th.
And he actually whiffs the fungal instead of hitting the Dark Templar to reveal it does indeed miss. Over on the left side, a lot of Archons, a lot of Protoss supply. Here's the big engagement. The Link's trying to get on top of every single one of these units, and a lot of the Protoss is falling to the Ultralisks as they're carving their path straight through. A lot of Neural Parasites actually doing some incredible work on this Protoss army, and now the A move is going to be absolutely incredible as the Neural Parasite does wear off, but the surround is perfect, and Believe just completely loses his army.
Yeah, and the Queen's even going to be taking out that Mothership core. There are still DTs running around SteAdfaSt's bases, but, you know, the majority of Believe's army is now gone. It is 170 supply to 120, as things are just now getting rebuilt with 3 Void Rays at a time, but there are 30 Mutalisks on the way, Cyber. 30 Mutalisks.
30 Mutalisks is a lot of damage-dealing potential. There's a lot of drones that have actually gone down throughout the course of this game, climbing all the way up to like 32 additional drones have gone down probably in the last 3 to 4 minutes alone. So a lot of that big supply difference is going to be in the army for SteAdfaSt. A lot of that is in the Mutalisks, and Believe wasn't really ready for this. Ultralisks over by the 3rd, going to be carving their way through a lot of this base and the infrastructure, while the Mutalisks over at the Natural going to be absolutely ransacking the base. Oh, actually, really nice body block by these Zealots. Incredible positioning there by Believe, able to lift off and completely destroy those last few Ultralisks. But again, what's the answer to these Mutalisks? Does he still have the Archon numbers? Not really. I mean, he's got a couple.
That was a terrible Artosis pylon for Believe. Both of his Stargates getting unpowered, as well as Robotics Bay and a couple of Warp Gates. And, you know, there are just so many Mutalisks here that he's doing a very good job just microing them, keeping them together, and these Phoenix just not able to get in too much damage on them. And the Dark Shrine gonna go down as well, and it looks like all the Phoenix gets cleaned up.
Allowing those last couple of Phoenix to go down is very, very crucial as SteAdfaSt takes game number 1 against the number 1 seed, Believe.
Yeah, very well played there by SteAdfaSt. And you know, I was wondering, it's like, where is he going with the Zergling Queen Infestor composition? But it really paid off in the end. Having that large Queen number just allowed for the ability that you have so many transfuses loaded up, your creep is immaculate, and plus also, air units won't ever be a problem in low numbers, and they never really reach that high critical amount of Void Rays or of Phoenix that really cause problems for the Zerg.
Very true. I mean, that one engagement where Neural Parasite reigned supreme, not something we've seen in years, I feel like. Just Neural Parasite, I mean, ever since pretty much like the Wings of Liberty days, the buffs that, or the nerfs that happened to it and the Infestor, just we didn't ever really see that. But in this particular case, it actually worked out really well for SteAdfaSt.
And it looks like Echo LE gonna be game number 2. So Echo is, I'd say it's a bit more of a standard map. And, you know, believe even in chat saying Phoenix was a bad choice.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cases of, I don't know how much practice Believe has had against that style, or was he really going in expecting that sort of composition and that sort of a game? So yeah, maybe he definitely was making some of the wrong choices there. However, he is of course going to be still a very strong Potos player. He has an opportunity to make the comeback happen, but I might start to believe in miracles that are named SteAdfaSt.
You know, he's staying SteAdfaSt, and hopefully he does into game number 2, but believe he's gotta collect himself again, and believe he's that kind of guy where sometimes, you know, a weird loss can really just kind of bring him down for the rest of the tournament. Though he has gotten better on that. In the previous couple lands we've had up here, he's been doing better, especially in like grand final situations where he's facing off against Masa. He won't let a game 1 or game 2 loss let him down.
That's a good attitude to have because he is going to need it. He is down 0-1.